everyone. Good to be with you again today. I only have about 20 minutes, but I'm going to grab every time I can get to keep on going down this line. Again, I hope you don't get too bored going all the same thing over and over again, but I think after we keep going down the road here, for those of you to really make sense, and then we have new ones coming online all the time, so I'm glad you're hanging in there with me, and it's good to be back with you again. Thank you for the comments on the little Coco. Isn't he a cute little thing? He looks like Wookiee sometimes, but he's a little love sponge. He's a little active thing, though. Hard to get him just to sit around a little bit. And then at other times, he'll sit around and stare. Sometimes I wonder if he's a few cards short of a full deck. Oh. So anyone know if herbs like dandelion, burdock, or nettle, for example, are stronger in a tincture or in a loose tea form? What would differences and benefits be of each one? Thanks, M. Carbone 4. Thank you, dear one. You know, I always thought the tinctures would be much stronger. Keep in mind, we distill for 30 days, or close to that. We use distilled water, pharmaceutical grade alcohol. It's a grain alcohol, so it's strong. But keep in mind, if we go down and we use vinegar or glycerin, we only can give you 60% of that plant, whereas the claims are 98% from the distilled water and the grain alcohol. So when it comes to healing, I want the whole plant. And of course, those are merged and pressed together. But when I started putting together the capsules, that we saw a different story, because a good example, and I've told you this before, is our lymphatic 2 liquid tincture versus our lymphatic 2 capsules. Big, huge difference. The tincture, people have been on that for years, and great tumor buster, a lot of black salve, like bloodroot herbs in there. But when I put it in capsule form, some people were heaving. We were giving them 2-3 times a day, standard protocol, and they were heaving with that. It showed how strong those herbs are. So as fresh as you can get them, as organic or wildcrafted as you can get them, absolutely. You could grind them up and make a capsule out of them, and yeah, that would be very strong. Absolutely. Thanks for the question there. This is, oh, thanks, Ryan, about your dad there, father and his polyps. Thanks, M. Carbone. Thank you for all that. Thanks with you, RACHNA 888. Appreciate that. Composer Tim Beek, thank you very much. And Vegan Princess, you're all very kind people. Now, we've got a question here. My joy is stripped. My health is bad, and there just does not seem to be any improvements, even with all the herbs. Now I found out, on top of all else that is wrong with the body, my spleen is enlarged. What can I take to help the spleen? Well, and this is healing by God. Good name. Love it. Well, what would enlarge tissue? What would create a swelling called hypertrophy, enlargement? Prostatitis enlarges the prostate. Pancreatitis enlarges the pancreas. Hepatitis enlarges the liver. So on and on and on in this manner. So when we see an itis, we know the medical terminology is going to be inflammation. We know the proper verbiage is going to be acidosis. Absolutely. So this is just showing me that you're having a real difficult time, my dear one, at moving your lymph. And that's a big issue. Not so easy. Maybe it's part of the trunk, perhaps. The trunk of the tree, obviously, is the gut, the liver, and the pancreas. But all this, remember, when the lymph system's backed up in you, it's backed up all through you. Some places more than others, particularly those weakened areas. And you see that in the eye, which in school we'll go over that, showing you how to tell in specific areas if that lymph system is really backed up. Jensen knew that these weaknesses in the body had a compromised blood and lymph flow, which is easy to understand that. And therefore, those tissues seem to go and have more problems first. Those are, of course, the tissues that taking chemo will pretty much fry and send over the hill. So these are the weaknesses in the body. Those are the areas that we need to strengthen. And the herbs, to me, are the only way to strengthen them. But keep in mind, you will not be able to strengthen these genetic weaknesses if the lymph is not moving well and these tissues are in an acidic medium. Acid mediums are corrosive mediums, and so that's important to look at that. You can take the spleen formula, but you really want to focus on the kidneys. Make sure you're seeing sediment. You don't see sediment, this is why you're slow at healing, perhaps. But I would really clean the gut up. I mean, we're wakening up to all these problems and how hard it is, so don't get frustrated. Healing by God sometimes takes a little while because it's a big issue. But nature is so much greater as a healer. Man is not a healer at all. He only treats symptoms. But nature cures the cause. And so that's what, or eliminates the cause. Yeah. All right. Now, let's see. My friend wanted me to ask about MVP, mitral valve prolapse. Her name is Samantha, and I will be showing her this video. She has MVP and would like some suggestions as what she can do to heal it. The heart has two valves that open up and allow blood to flow from one chamber to another chamber. You have the two top atrials and the two bottom ventricles. So these valves, the tricuspid and mitral valve, are the valves between these chambers that when the electrical pulse comes, opens a valve, then your blood flows from one to the next and shoved right out into the system there. First to the lungs to get oxygenated and then out to the body to feed the cells. Whenever you see a weakness in connective tissue, valves, sphincters, which close, open and close like the stomach, the bladder, when you see these weaknesses, the suggestion might be parathyroid. Now, it's possible that someone down in the family had so much congestion in the heart, congestive heart failure, blah, 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 that high acidosis, of course, weakened the valves. And then genetically passing that weakness, yes, that is true, and you might not have a parathyroid weakness. But out of the sake of all this, you've got to move lymph. Prime, broken record, whatever, you got to move lymph. That's the acid medium that continues to perpetuate these weaknesses. Second of all, I would pop up my parathyroid just to get calcium utilization. Then all your nails, your connective tissue, your sphincters, your valve, everybody gets stronger. So the key is the acid side of chemistry and the lymph system. That's where the problems come in when you're starting to see the breakdown of tissue, whether it's valves, like I said, sphincters, just muscle, bone, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So that's what you would want to look at simultaneously. Really move your lymph, clean up the bowels. Always follow that protocol, and you'll do well at the end analysis. So continue to detoxify. Tell your friend there that she's got to move lymph, and that'll correct anything that could be of a local area of acidosis that's removing acids, because that can also lead to cholesterol plaquing in the artery wall, stenosis in the artery wall, all leading to occlusions and then heart attacks. If it's just a genetic weakness in the valve, you can still strengthen it up, but you want to make sure you're moving lymph, empower the cells, empower the body, and make sure that parathyroid is up there, and you'll be okay. Good question. Good question. Thank Miss Fairy Bloom. I appreciate that comment. Love you, dear one. You guys are really sweet. Really, thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's nice to have love around, you know. It's a good thing. It's you guys are just this is a good love tree. I love that. I think it's important. This planet needs I was just talking to a lady in the UK, and we were saying, you know, this planet needs a good enema of love. You know, we just got to start changing the nature of these things. You saw that lady's experience of out-of-body there, and this is what it is. When you start having these tremendous nirvanic experiences like that, it changes you in the way you look at this plane or this level of creation. And you just can't, it's a haunting pull back home, if I could use that analogy in a sense. It's just amazing, and it's hard to describe to someone that that this world is only here now as to end up your karmatic issues, and then if you know you're here on a journey to help mankind, then that's what one needs to get with and get on down the road, and that's just what we're doing. So I like that. So well registered for you. Oh, thank you so much, Green Helper. I hope to see you one of these days. Address Shania Mud issue. Listen, I love both of them. They're both great. Mutt's just been a good old friend of mine. Calls me off and on quite frequently. Shania or Eileen does not, but I really think a lot of her. I know where her heart is. She's a Radhaswami. So big lesson for those that try to make the world perfect. It is a good spiritual this for her, because you can't put your eggs in one basket. You can't lose yourself in another person. You can't put your joy in other people or other things, or you're looking to get your joy taken away from you, because there's no stability in that way. We're always in a flux universe, so that's where we have to get stronger. And if you look around, there are less marriages, less relationships in terms of long-term stuff, and it's getting more individual. People are feeling more individuality now, but that's higher consciousness. That's what's happening. So it was another initiation for her to break loose with that. And then Mutt has his own things he has to work through, no question about it. Opening that heart would be a good idea. No offense, Mutt, but keep opening that heart. You work too hard. Would you recommend non-organic grape juice or bottled organic grape juice when grapes are not in season? Well, I recommend bottled grape juice. I think it's readily available in most health food stores and most grocery stores now. Most grocery stores are kind of keep up with the Joneses. They have their health sections. I know down here we have what's called Publix, and each aisle has its own health issues now. But Knudsen is a really good company. Their bottled grape juice is fairly fresh. I had some the other day, and it tastes like they just pressed it. I was very impressed. Organic, not from concentrate, in a glass bottle. Acceptable. You could still feel the power. Very strong, very fresh. Really liked it. Knudsen's. Very good company, I think. There's Lakewood, and there's some other ones, but Knudsen, that was so fresh. I was impressed. I was like, whoa. For something that was half cooked, and not bad. Answering my question about autism and fruit. This is about that 7-year-old. I can't tell you. You know what? After they say claim, after 4 or 5, your thought patterns are pretty set. You just keep working with the boy. Use applesauce. Use as much creativity with smoothies and making ice creams out of fruits. You can cross in there. There's no, you can give him something once in a while just as a nice feed. Get used to making some cool stuff with the celeries and stuff like that. 7 years old, still going to eat coconuts and stuff. You might want to get creative with something with that. But every once in a while you might have to give him something to keep him balanced that he's used to eating in the past. Remember, get the fungus out of this young man, because he's going to have weak adrenals, and that yields sugar metabolism problems, and so he's naturally going to have a lot of fungus, so he's naturally going to crave some of the fungal foods like pastas and breads and cheeses and stuff like that. So